Welcome everyone to the Consistent OK podcast. My name's Luke and I'm here as always with Nick.
Hello.
Presenting you with a podcast centered around pop culture that we do our very best to make consistent OK for you. Each month we give you one episode where we talk about all things pop culture related and break down our thoughts and more on it. Our second monthly episode will be our in-depth series, and this season we're focusing on Batman from films to animation, where we'll take you on a journey through our highs and lows, ins and outs of the representation of Batman through the years. Our sponsor this week is the almighty dorky geeky nerdy trivia podcast. This podcast lets you play a trivia game at home, at work, in the car and with your friends. Hosted by Brian Rowlands, here he is to tell you a bit more about the podcast.
Question. In Pixar's Toy Story, the carpet in Sid's house comes from what movie? Hi, I'm Brian Rollins, host and creator of the Dorky, Geeky, Nerdy Trivia Podcast. Every week, I bring you 30 new trivia questions on a different topic. We've covered Star Wars, Star Trek, Harry Potter, comic books, movies, and so much more. Every episode is designed to be played like your own personal game of Jeopardy or pub trivia. We offer 3 rounds of 10 questions each. Each round is harder than the last. You can play along solo or with a group of friends. We even have scorecards you can use at our website, dorkygeekynerdy.com. Are you a dork, a geek, or a nerd? Maybe a combo of all 3? Well, here's your chance to find out. Join me every Wednesday for new trivia. You can find us at dorkygeekynerdy.com or on just about any podcast directory. Just search for Dorky, Geeky, Nerdy and you'll find the show. Oh, the answer to my question was The Shining. The carpet in Sid's house was inspired by the flooring in the Overlook Hotel. I hope to see you soon at Dorky, Geeky, Nerdy. Thanks.
All right, thanks for that, Brian. So, Nick, we're back after a month hiatus of recording our Consistent OK podcast. How are you?
Tired.
Tired.
The Kickstarter that I mentioned on our last episode has finished. Thanks to everybody who backed it and supported it and shared it. And I'm tired. Looking forward to sleep at some point. Not now, but at some point.
It's don't sleep now, otherwise It's just me talking. Although I do love to talk, so you know. But anyway, huge congratulations to you and our good friend of the podcast, Harry Hughes. Your successful funded of the Red Wave. So we'll probably talk about that more in the next few episodes, I guess.
Feel free to.
Speaking of our episodes, let's tell people about some changes. So we've been speaking, we're going to shuffle things around a little bit on the Consistent OK podcast. We are going to still do 2 episodes a month. We're going to keep our in-depth series about Batman, and in season 3, we'll focus on another in-depth series. And instead of doing an episode once a month where we have another set theme, such as an MCU film that's just come out or talking about a comic writer, we're going to just stick to doing an episode surrounded about all things pop culture. So things that we've seen or read about or heard about, and we're just going to talk, for an hour and a half or so about all of those. Pretty much. Essentially,
there is so much pop culture stuff that we want to talk about that talking about it just in one go makes it easier.
It does make it easier, doesn't it?
We don't have to pick and choose.
And also, most of our episodes, we end up talking about other things as well. So it's going to work out for the best for us, for you, the listeners. And so we're really excited. So this will be the first one of that. So if you listen to our last podcast, and we said about that this episode was actually originally going to be Shang-Chi, I believe.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for me, I haven't actually seen Shang-Chi, but Nick has.
I have.
So we're going to talk about many things. There's loads of things from the last month that we've come across, but I think maybe that would be, we're going to talk about spoilers for most aspects of this podcast, but for this bit, Nick is going to be very well behaved and not actually spoil Shang-Chi. Yeah. But he has not told me yet how good or not good Shang-Chi is. And if you've listened to the podcast, Nick isn't the biggest fan of MCU films. So here it is. Nick is going to tell us if he likes Shang-Chi.
Well, I feel like I'm on the spot. I feel like I'm in court and I need like a microphone. I'm going to lean into it. I enjoyed it.
Whoa.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh my God. Now I have to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember saying to you with like one of the trailers that I actually thought it looked better than I thought it would.
You did say that.
I think I said at the time that the bus scene looked really bad.
You did say that.
still looks bad. But overall, I think the film works. Like, without spoiling it, whenever you see it, it's probably the most Disney Marvel film that I think they've ever made. In that, I think if you didn't know it was based on a comic book, you would think it's an original Disney film. Because they just lean into it, and I'm like, okay, sure. There's one element of the film that I think is absolutely horrendous and doesn't work.
The bus scene.
I mean, the bus scene's pretty poor, but that's like just a scene. It's just a CGI. Like, the action's cool inside the bus. The rest of it doesn't look good. And yeah, like some of the CG in some places is a bit ropey, which is odd because they had all the money. But yeah, like plot wise, actors, I thought it was all cool, all worked. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a future TV spot, probably when it lands on Disney Plus, where it's like, what's Shang-Chi, the most Disney Marvel film yet.
It really is.
Quote Nick Good.
It 100% is. When you watch it, I'm super curious about your thoughts on it, because it just didn't feel like Marvel. It felt like Disney, and I was like, sure.
Was there songs? Were there songs?
Possibly.
Okay.
Just have to wait and see.
Now I'm hooked. I'm going to sit there for the whole hour and a half anticipating
what songs they are.
Some like Abomination singing a solo number instead of fighting. So
yeah,
I do know some bits. I actually had the post credits spoiled for me. Wow, it was the post credits were spoiled for me in terms of someone said, "This guy is back to being this guy," and I was like, "Eh." So, as we're not talking about Shang-Chi spoilers, I can't say it because that's not fair to say. You're not going to ruin it for me, so I won't ruin it for anyone else. But
to be fair, the post credits didn't wow me. I didn't leave and was like, "That was revolutionary." I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Okay, so it's the most Disney Marvel film yet, with some solid action, but some bits of CGI didn't work out, with a post-credit scene that didn't wow you.
Yes,
but that's pretty big. It's a pretty big endorsement from you, who personally did not like Civil War.
But it was awful. But yeah, this is better than Civil War. Done.
Better than Civil War. There's nothing better than Civil War, my friend, apart from Infinity War.
It's a lot better than Civil War. The comic of Civil War is better than the film.
Wow. While we're talking about, we might as well just kick off with Marvel. So some things that will be heavily spoiler related in case people haven't seen them all yet. Did you see the new Spider-Man trailer?
I did. I usually don't watch trailers. I will watch trailers for TV series. So my reasoning behind this, for anybody who doesn't know me, I don't watch trailers because I go to the cinema all the time. And so I see the same trailer about 9 times, and it gets a little bit annoying. So I stopped watching trailers at home so that I experience a trailer for the first time on the big screen, which the first time is great. You're like, this looks awesome, whatever it is. And then you slowly like, oh yeah, I've seen this trailer several times. But yeah, Spidey I had to watch because I was hopeful that they would show Andrew Garfield. They did not.
The worst Spider-Man. The worst of the Spider-Men.
The best and the only Spider-Man there should be.
But he wasn't there.
No.
But we did get Doc Ock.
We did, yes. That was cool.
So all signs are leading to potentially more Spider-Men.
Hope so. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm very curious. I know a lot of people are like saying that Doctor Strange looks shady.
Well, there's some very strong Mephisto vibes, isn't there? I think he's kind of like, why is he doing all this? But I think Doctor Strange's character in the comics as well, he's kind of like, you know what? I like doing this shit. I'm going to see what happens. Yeah. And then it's kind of like, oh, it's all gone wrong, because obviously he's helping as well. I think there's a lot of different, obviously you've got the multiverse stuff kicking off after Loki. You've got, obviously he's got his own film coming out as well. It's just, there's so many different things that could be going on. Like, it's just, you could rack your brains. I've seen all these photos of all the new Lego sets. There's vultures in there and everything. It's just, I don't think anyone, no one can see me shrug my shoulders, but I shrug my shoulders. Like, no one knows, but I think it looks really good. there's a lot of people saying, like, you can tell. I don't know if you watched the Civil War trailer, but they cut loads of people out of the shots, like when they're all lining up. Like Spider-Man's obviously in the final shot, but he's not in the trailer. Things like that, and they're saying that there's 2 or 3 moments in the trailer where it's obvious that there's probably more people in that shot. So they're saying obviously he could be being flanked by Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, aka Peter Parker and Peter Parker.
Yes.
And there's someone else said that he's wearing the same clothes as, I think he's wearing the same clothes as Tobey Maguire Spider-Man does in one of the scenes.
Right.
So anyway, there's all this stuff going on, but I thought it looked really good, and I'm really excited because I'm a big Spider-Man fanboy, and I really like the other 2 Spider-Man films, and I really like him in Civil War, the 2nd or 3rd best Marvel film. I think I made a list a while ago with you. I can't remember what I said now, but it's definitely up there.
One of the worst.
Queens.
I'll give you that the Queen's bit is the best part of that film.
It is. Well, no, it's not the best part of the film, but it's a pretty epic bit. It's definitely like squeeze the person sitting next to you in the cinema's leg kind of moment, which I assume everyone does when they're excited in the cinema.
All the time. I did Harry all the time. Yeah, I thought it looked cool. I thought Doc Ock, I couldn't tell whether he looked CG though. He's got
it's the age thing, isn't it? That they do with everything. Yeah, he looks like he's been de-aged a little bit, and I probably squeezed a little bit because he's obviously, when Spider-Man 2 was out, when 2001, 4.
Pretty sure it's 4.
The best Spider-Man film.
Second best, but yeah.
Is Amazing Spider-Man the best?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not, because the villain isn't very good.
I like Kurt Connors. I dig Kurt, you know.
To
be fair, there are parts of Amazing Spider-Man 2 I really like as well. And I definitely think, much like the Snyder Cut, I think there's a better version of that film out there.
Do you think?
Oh god, yeah.
I do like the Amazing Spider-Man films, as I said before. I do like Andrew Garfield. I hate in both the Sam Raimi trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man duo. I don't know that he just should have been younger. He needed to stay young. They moved him on too quickly to growing up. I'm a big fan of young Peter Parker compared to, hey, like, I need to get a job and I need to do this and do that, because all that stuff will happen eventually. Like if Tom Holland sticks as Holland, not Harry will have a field day with that.
Yeah.
If Tom Holland sticks with the role and feeds us like 8 films, then okay, fair enough. He's going to move on and maybe get a job at the Daily Bugle or the Internet Bugle or whatever Jonah Jameson's doing.
Yeah. I agree about the age thing. My issue with the MCU Peter Parker is that it's not Peter Parker. It's bloody a young Tony Stark. And I have a huge problem that they still don't have Ben. Like, I know why they've done it, but it feels like, it's like if you took like Bruce Wayne and removed the concept that he's doing everything because his parents died in Crime Alley. If you were just like, I've just got a load of money, so I've become a vigilante. It's like,
but I don't think of him like that either, because he is Peter Parker, isn't he? He's a kid. He's a kid with no real. I guess he's got all the gadgets in his hand because of Tony Stark and things, but he's still a young kid with no. If in Homecoming, in the first one, I don't know. They've
sort of mirrored Iron Man with his progression.
That is for the MCU, isn't it? They want Spider-Man's going to be the focal point, isn't it? Especially with everything going on with Sony as well. Like that's the that's the money maker there, isn't it? So
I just wish they were like, they still had the core, because like that's the thing that I think about Amazing Spider-Man that works so well, is that he is a kid that is like constantly torn by this, like, I didn't know my parents and my Uncle Ben died because of something that I did, and that's the weight that he carries around with him. Whereas I don't think Tom Holland's Peter Parker carries a weight. I think he carries like, I want to be an Avenger, which isn't a weight. That's like,
it's because you never saw his backstory though, did you? Because they knowed all the origin stuff out. You didn't get that connection with Tom Holland, and I'm sure if you did, you probably would feel anything. But you don't know anything about his past. You just assume You just assume Uncle Ben's gone, and you assume that he's had a tough time of it, which I thought was a bit of a breath of fresh air after seeing it twice so quickly. But I mean, you got to think that if all three of these spider folk meet up, they'll be like, "Hey, what happened to your uncle? Yeah, he's gone the way of the dodo, and what about this?" So it'd be really interesting. It'd be so interesting if they all did meet up. That would be crazy. And if through that there was something that came from it, whether it's a spin-off for Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, or obviously with all the they've got Venom and they've got Morbius coming out and stuff. If something else clicked over from that, there's a lot they could do. I think someone saying that they could even throw like Miles Morales into this one as well, just out of nowhere.
I'm still surprised they haven't, because they basically introduced Prowler in Homecoming.
And then I mean, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, that they've got, again, there's so much going on in the MCU that they're going to have to save some things for the future, isn't it? And Miles Morales should be a massive thing to happen down the line eventually. Once all this stuff is done, because if there's 3 Spider-Men in this one, they're going to have a little break for a little bit and steadily build towards the next big thing, next Avengers. So it was a cool trailer. I like that. The other 2 Marvel things I have, one is sticking with the MCU and one is moving into the gaming realm. But what do you think about that?
Middle of the road. There's 3 episodes maybe that I like. One being the very latest. So I think the day that this episode comes out, the final What If episode will come out. So when I say the latest, I'm not talking about the one that came out.
Talking about part 1 of the, I think his official name is the Almighty. I think Almighty Ultron, maybe.
Could be. I liked that. I thought that was cool. They're basically retconning Ultron though, in that it feels like they were like, we did waste him in Age of Ultron. So here's the better version.
He's a huge deal, isn't he? As well, there would be. You could build up a whole phase around Ultron, couldn't you? Exactly. That. Do you want to know where I am with it?
Yes.
Be prepared to be shocked.
I'm ready.
I don't really like it.
How come?
I don't know. I feel because they've like really honed in on like this is canon, like this is part of the MCU, but it just feels like a little bit too out there. It feels they're just, so there are some episodes which I really didn't like. I hated the Thor episode.
Awful.
I thought it was so bad. I hated what they did. I hated what they did with Thor. It just didn't work. I hated like everything about like Frost Giant Loki and Party Thor. I just feel like we've already had Fat Thor, which I like in a way. I didn't like it originally, but I've grown to like it more and more and more, to the point where I've just got an action figure of him because now I'm really fond of the character. But I didn't like that, and I was really excited about the Marvel Zombies episode, which I liked, but again, it almost went too far. It wasn't just there are zombies and there are people trying to stop the zombies. It's like, okay, like this guy is like chopping heads and mutilating bodies and everything, and Tom Holland's got the cape, and I don't know, just felt I felt like it would have been so much better if it was just like, okay, these 2 characters have survived, a bit like Hawkeye and Black Widow in the Ultron episode. Like there's a couple of people left, we're going to focus on these 2 characters and they're defending themselves against the zombies, but it went a bit too off track for me. I think the only other episode that I liked is, what is it? So there's been Party Thor, there's been the zombies. I like the Doctor Strange episode.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is probably my favorite, and that was
really strong. It was really dark, and it was really good. Yeah. And I love the fact they've kind of come back to it now as well.
Yeah,
because that episode felt like, that is something that could happen. Like Doctor Strange could take that turn where he's like, I don't want to lose her, goes back and goes back and goes back, and obviously all of this is crazy. Even with the Ultron episode, which I actually quite enjoyed as well, I just thought it's going too far with the Watcher thing now as well, because I like the idea of the Watcher actually being in the MCU and because we've always seen a snip of it, like in a brief cameo bit with Stan Lee, but I like that idea. I think he's big enough that he should be, like, if there was ever like a secret wars or something, that would be a big moment for the watcher to be involved, although he doesn't directly get involved, but just be something
present,
seen.
Yeah.
So but I'm interested to see the finale anyway. I think they got the order wrong as well. I think the Captain Britain episode, I thought that was pretty weak as well. Probably what made me start thinking, oh, this isn't as good as because I was really excited about it when I saw the trailer. But I know it's just it's getting them from this point to this point in between releases, aren't they? Because obviously this finishes this week, and then there's a bit of a chunk of time when nothing comes out, I think. Yeah. And then Shang-Chi comes out in November, and then it's quickly followed by Hawkeye. Yeah. Which I thought looked pretty good as well. A little bit cheesy, but pretty good.
Yeah. Just real quick on What If, because the Captain Carter episode, it was I really liked most of it. Didn't like the end.
No.
There's one shot in it which I thought was amazing, because it's like a one shot where she goes through the plane, and it's all just done in like a one animation take. I don't know how hard that is, but I really liked it because she sort of goes in, then comes out the roof and like goes off, and I was like, that's quite impressive. Like technically, that's hard work. But and I like the setup for that. I just the end of it where she's fighting the big squid thing, I was like, not sure. And I read the other day that somebody was talking about the fact that What If should have been the MCU's chance to just pull from the comic books.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I didn't read that, but I feel that they really could have. I just think they've missed a trick here. I do.
Well, apparently I think it was with the writer or director or somebody who's attached to it, and they said their stipulation, because they would have liked to have done that, but the stipulation was you've got to pull from the MCU. So it has to be in line with what the MCU did. And I think that's the trick that they missed, is that it's like you can't tinker with that too much because it's very set in a certain way. The only thing you can do is go completely mental with it and make it as weird as possible. But I don't feel like that always works. Like the big squid thing, it's like, what?
That's probably why I feel the attached to it. Not attached to it, because it doesn't feel like the MCU. It does feel like a spin-off, but because they keep saying like, oh, it's part of the MCU. It just that's not the watcher in my head. Like it's a cartoon, obviously, but I can't imagine if you were to create a watch character in the MCU that he would have been through all of this stuff that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, it just feels a bit strange and a bit that character. I would have loved for it to pull from the comics as well, but I'm not. I know the reason I'm disinterested in it a little bit, because most times with the MCU stuff, as you know, I'm like with things like Loki, I'm like, I cannot wait for Wednesday. Cannot wait for Friday. I can't. But with this, I don't think I haven't seen the Killmonger episode.
Oh.
So that's the one I haven't seen yet, because again, I mean, I was a bit busy when it came out, but I know I want to see it, but I just haven't got around to seeing it. I do. I have a very nice collection of Lego minifigures that came out because I couldn't resist.
Yeah,
but it's all. I mainly wanted the Loki one with the Thor frog, and I got it, Nick. You'll be pleased to know.
Good. I'm glad.
So it's a bit up and down for me. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the finale, to be honest, because I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends. But I'm ready to move on for it. I'm ready for another dose of it, basically. So I feel maybe because Black Widow was just okay. Like I think it had its good moments, but bad moments, and then this is what I've seen after that. I think maybe if I'd seen Shang-Chi in between it, I would have been like, oh, okay, it's fine. But anyway, that's that. Anything else you want to talk about What If?
No, I think What If I'm pretty set with.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up Marvel, but there's something that's super exciting that happened.
Yes.
It links into the PlayStation 5 stuff.
Yes.
But we haven't even spoke about this. Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation.
Yes. Awesome.
Did you see the trailer?
Did
you get excited when you heard the mighty Kraven the Hunter talking?
I did. I was like, that's very cool. So much so that it actually tapered to the Venom reveal thing. I was like, yes. Oh, Kraven is badass.
And wasn't that awesome?
Awesome. And then I was
So
like, oh,
awesome.
Venom, sure.
Such a good trailer. And I was excited by the Venom thing because I was like, cool, Kraven the Hunter, I'm down. Like, we've already seen some of like the Venom stuff happening, maybe in the chamber at the end of Spider-Man. And then when he's there and he's like, just says that line, and it's the Candyman guy.
Yeah.
He says, yes, we will. I was like, oh man, that's going to be awesome. And they're like, oh, it's going to be a really dark game. I'm like, brilliant.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, it looks very cool.
I still don't have a PlayStation 5 for those listening who still have yet to donate me one.
I've got
maybe one day. You've got one.
You know,
I don't. So, but I'll obviously get one. Now I'm more like, I'm just going to wait because they'll do some awesome PlayStation 5, like in Venom colors or something. And I'll just get one of those.
Yeah,
so,
I hope so.
But it's, I'm really excited. There was that was a really cool PlayStation announcement because sometimes you just get one thing that you're excited about, but this came with like a Spider-Man 2, and then you also had Wolverine, which was announced.
Awesome. That is a brilliant trailer.
Really cool. That was super exciting as well because I was trying to watch it live. I was with my youngest, so I was like, I can't have the sound on, so I was like, I'll just see these updates coming. It's like Insomniac Games have announced Spider-Man 2. It's like, it's dope, and it's like, and they've announced another Marvel game. It's like, what is it? I was like, Wolverine. That's so cool because they could do so much with that as well.
I hope it's like a 15 as well because it looks like they've made something that's going to be a little bit more mature. And I think I read somewhere that they are pitching for like a mature audience.
I mean, it has to be with that sort of the body count at the bar and that scene, and it being Wolverine. It looks like it's going to be a dark story.
Very cool.
I think it was one of my closest friends, Sean is his name. We were talking. He said that he thought it was going to be a Deadpool game, which is what they were going to announce. So, which also would have been good. But I feel like this is a really cool choice. Like, it's a really awesome way, and they could obviously link if Insomniac are going down this route, because Avengers was such a different game from Square Enix that if Wolverine and Spider-Man link, then they could do something really good later down the line with if they did like an X-Men game or something or whatever.
I feel like they're like laying roots for a really interesting universe.
Yeah, because they've really built up that Spider-Man universe really well. Something between Spider-Man and the Miles Morales game, and they're hitting all the right notes. Like, I feel like they're choosing the right bad guys, which is where sometimes I feel the films have gone a little bit wrong. But I feel, like I think they had so many cool characters, like some big players and some smaller players in the first one, and that Kraven the Hunter, you get the impression that he is going to be like sort of like an Arkham Knight, for instance. Like, Arkham Knight was portrayed as like the main villain, basically.
Yeah.
But it's obviously Scarecrow is the
big one,
big bad. So I feel like Kraven's going to be that first chunk of the villain, but actually there's going to be a main player at the end.
Yeah,
probably going to be Venom or maybe Green Goblin.
Yeah.
I always think back to the first game where there was the trailer and then you just had like the whoosh around. And I remember thinking, oh, it's Sinister Six and that's the Green Goblin. And I was always surprised that it was actually Doc Ock was the
like name.
The thing that was coming up the prison. I've got to play Spider-Man again. I actually have that game on the PlayStation 5 now as well. I just don't have a PlayStation 5.
Oh no.
So I got the remastered game with the Miles Morales game.
Yeah.
So one day, Nick. I'll be playing PlayStation 5. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
What else?
Real
Nick?
quick there, talking of games.
Yeah.
Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
So I was talking to the same name I just dropped, my friend Sean. I said, because we were talking about Midnight Suns, which actually looks really cool. Like, it's like a role-playing game, and it's such a cool trailer with a really cool music. Mm-hmm. So that's obviously completely different because have you seen that trailer for Midnight Suns?
Yeah.
So obviously as a role-playing, so you stand opposite your opponent and then you pick using cards. So it's completely different. But then Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's kind of come out of nowhere, but it's out this month.
Yep.
And every time I see gameplay, it looks really glitchy.
Yep.
And like it's not flowing. But then you see at the bottom, like, this was captured on a PlayStation 5. And I was like, was it now?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about it, actually.
I'm not sold. Like, I haven't played Avengers. I've heard the story for Avengers is good. I've heard the gameplay is awful. And
the gameplay is actually pretty they fixed a lot of glitches, so it's repetitive, but the story helps it along.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like I've heard it's literally just like you button bash, but not in the way that it's like you'll button bash on Arkham, because Arkham is button bash, but like you have
your button bash. But then the luxury for it is that the saving grace is that you're button bashing 1 minute you can be Iron Man and flying, which is so many times you're like, oh god, I want to fly. Then you have the satisfaction, like in God of War, when you throw the axe. When you're Thor, you can throw the hammer, which is a really cool thing. And Captain America got the shield. So it is button bashing and it is repetitive, but it's, again, if you just play in the story, it's actually quite enjoyable.
Okay. Because I basically, I was like, right, I'm going to wait until the Spidey stuff is out and like they've sort of put out basically everything. And then I'll just go through and sweep it. But it's just the longer it goes on, the more I hear from people and they're like, yeah, it's just not that good. And then
I heard the Black Panther was supposed to be pretty good. I haven't played it, but
I did hear that was interesting at least. But yeah, that hasn't sold me. And I think because it's basically the same team or a similar team that have made thingy, because it's Crystal Dynamics again, isn't it? Or is it
Square Enix did Avengers.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure this is Crystal Dynamics.
I thought Crystal Dynamics worked on Avengers as well.
I think they were
it was just two separates. For some reason in my head I was like, oh, like
you might be right. You might be right.
Let me check.
I thought Square Enix did Avengers.
I will Google now, just for any of our listeners. Yeah, so Crystal Dynamics worked on Avengers.
Oh, okay.
And I think they did Guardians.
Strange.
No.
Feels like
I'm never sure how to pronounce the publisher, but Eidos Montreal.
Eidos, yeah, I think.
So they're working on Guardians.
And the gameplay is different, though. From what I've seen, is that you can only play as Peter Quill, and then you do the attacks for the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So if you're in trouble, then you can get Groot to do something, and like get Rocket to do something. But a lot of the gameplay I've seen has been heavily cutscenes, but then a little bit of gameplay, which always looks a bit like laggy. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to see. A lot of the previews seem quite positive. I read a lot about people playing the first hour. You get like an hour people are playing, and I'm sure I'll give it a go, but I'm not.
Again, I'm not rushing out.
About what if I'm not like, God, I can't wait for October, whatever, to pick up this game. Whereas with Spider-Man 2, I'm going to be like,
yes.
I don't know. They say you've got a game to play for the next 5 years. What do you want? I'll be like, it's going to be Spider-Man 2, and I will play it forever.
Yeah.
So
it's going to
be God of War 2, because God of War 2 was also a trailer that came out.
That was the other thing I was going to talk to you about. Is God of War.
Looks so good.
Amazing.
Like so good.
So good.
I mean, it literally looks like it's just picked up where the other one left off, which it has, but it's just
There's so many things about that trailer that just looked stunning. Like the little town thing that they're on when they're like rowing through, and it's like it just feels like they've created new environments, and obviously they have, but in the sense that it's like I never would have thought they would have explored that kind of different, like different style. Like it just looks like it's got a different feel. I thought it was interesting that Corey Barlog's not directing it.
Yeah, he stepped down, didn't he?
Yeah, but I kind of get his reason for it, where he was saying, like they want to sort of like share the mantle and kind of help others get to directing and stuff. And I was like, oh, I respect that. That's cool. So yes, I'm really excited about that. Just keen to know when it's going to come out, because it didn't.
I mean, it looked, again, that gameplay looked more polished than the games for the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yeah, gotcha.
There must be pretty far for it. I read that the reason it was delayed was because one of the, I don't think it was the director, but whoever was one of the team anyway, he like had a knee operation, hip operation.
Oh, was it the guy who plays Kratos?
Maybe.
I think I saw.
One of the actors, because he wanted to be part of like the mocap and everything, and he couldn't do it, so that's why it was delayed. So, and they really wanted him to do everything again. So they depends how much they got of him, really, isn't it? If he's still doing bits and bobs, but I would think it would be out.
I think it's going to be winter
late
next year,
2022.
Right?
I mean, it would fit. It would be nice. That's a good release, isn't it? There, I think we'll get that, because then you've got. Well, I mean, we've got DC fandom as well, so we'll find out more about Gotham Knights and Justice League, Suicide Kill the Justice League, which both are supposed to be out. Is Suicide Squad out in 2023?
Yes, because
pretty sure it was, because I remember saying I might be dead by then. Yeah, I'm not dying, but it's a long way away.
Yeah, because Gotham Knights is out
2022,
and then 2023 is Squad.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think around then will be Spidey, right?
Because DC fandom is it will be, because Spider-Man 2 is supposed to be next year, isn't it?
I can't remember if they put a date on it or not.
I think I heard that was going to be next year, and then they're saying that Wolverine will be 2023.
Curious, interesting.
But then, because of DC fandom, we'll find out a lot more about the other games as well, and a lot more stuff about DC. Maybe they'll say about the Aya cut for Suicide Squad.
Yes,
it's gaining a lot of momentum.
Surely that's happening. Like, surely, I know we're about to talk about Suicide Squad, but like, it's not like it doesn't cost them any money because it's finished.
Yeah.
So why not just put it out? Like, people will subscribe if they're not already subscribed to HBO Max to watch it. It will sell on sales. So
if they do not announce it now, then it will not happen. If it doesn't happen at this, if they don't announce it, if this isn't one of the big things they're going to announce, because they've said they've got loads of huge reveals and some you wouldn't expect, then I would be I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't think he's pushing for it as much as Zack Snyder was pushing for it, or the fans of Zack Snyder were pushing for it.
Yeah, but like the thing that I said, because I was talking to Harry about this, so I said with the Snyder cut, I was fully of the mind that I was like, it's basically going to be a different film. If there's 4 hours, that's 2 hours of, like, that's a whole other film. So there must be extra content, and for all intents and purposes, for me it was basically a different film because everybody's different. Like, the thematics of that film is completely different. And Squad, I was like, I don't think it's going to be that different. I think it will be like the novelization, which I know both you and Harry have read.
Yep.
And then David Ayer said something recently where he said about the fact that there was like the studio cut of the film, there was his version of the studio cut, and then there was his original version. And I was like, oh, that intrigues me, because now I wonder if there is difference. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I would like for it to happen, but I don't see it happening. I think it's just going to rumble on and rumble on and rumble on, but there'll be no we'll never see it. And I think in part because of the success of the Suicide Squad, or not the success, but
success.
Well, I mean, it didn't do great at this. It didn't do well at the box office, didn't it? But it's still a pandemic going on in America or everywhere, isn't there? But obviously, it was well received, and I thought it was really. I mean, I'm in two minds about the Suicide Squad. One, I literally think it's just Guardians of the Galaxy on the ground.
Yeah.
Because you haven't got, instead of Groot, you've got King Shark.
Yeah.
Instead of Peter Quill, you've got Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Instead of Drax, you've got Peacemaker. Like, they're different, obviously, because, you know, I mean, Drax probably would go and chop someone up with an axe in a tent, but it's just like, it's the same. It's like a kind of a copy, because you've got a really good soundtrack with like this band of like misfits together. So he's used kind of the same formula. But I still think it works. Like, I'm not knocking the fact that it was similar in the formula, because I still think it really works in terms of, I thought all the actors did really well. I was really surprised by John Cena. I thought he was probably the best bit. But something still didn't quite sit right with me. I don't know what that was. I'm not a very good critique, because my heart tells me I just really want to like it, because I really like James Gunn, and I really like the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So, and I like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and I liked. I don't know. There's just something. I didn't come out. Had really high hopes for it, because I'd heard such good things from like reviewers and people that I know had seen it before me, and I thought I wasn't wowed by it, basically. you feel very similar or worse than I do, I think, judging by your yeps.
I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because I've only seen it the once, and I just thought it was fine. Like, I actually preferred Birds of Prey.
It was just fine.
Like, I thought
Really?
Birds of Prey was a better film because it surprised me.
And had Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, which was pretty cool.
Awesome. Like, great casting. And also his version of Black Mask. I did.
Spot on.
Like, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like the scene where they're cutting off people's faces. Awesome.
Yeah. Good.
But that surprised me. Like, I didn't think I would enjoy Birds of Prey much. Because I was like, I just don't, like, to me, that felt like they were going to do Deadpool, but with Harley Quinn. And it wasn't. Like, there was more punch to Birds of Prey than I thought there would be. And so at the end of that, I was like, I really hope they get a sequel because I like all of those characters. And I'm so stoked that Black Canary is getting something now because she's awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
And so with Suicide Squad, going into it, I was very much like, it's just going to be Guardians because it'll sell. And it was, but it was like Guardians 2, where I just didn't, I was like, sure, it's the same film.
Well, I mean, it is. So if you, I mean, I might be way off it. You might not agree at all, or you do kind of agree because you just said it. But you know, you take the prison scene in the Suicide Squad and you replace that with the prison scene in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
where they're all coming together, and then they go on a mission, which they do in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you know, there's, like I said, it's just too many similarities. Like, he's literally thought, okay, so King Shark is just going to say hardly anything, but he's going to be what's going to sell all the merchandise, which is true. Like, we've had several King Shark action figures in the comic shop, and they've all gone.
Yeah.
Because he's the one. He's like the Groot, isn't he? Like, when Groot first came around, you couldn't get enough of Groot.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. It just felt too similar. I think that's probably where it's come from. It just felt like the same, followed a lot of the same beats Galaxy, which I get is like the formula works. It works, doesn't it? Why don't it doesn't broke, don't fix it. Which is why Guardians 3 is a big deal, because it can't be the same as Guardians 1 and 2, because they again did a lot of the same things. Like, he has to, you know, that's probably why it needs like a Thor in it, which God knows if he's in it or not after Love and Thunder, but you know, it has to be different. I feel like if he did the Suicide Squad 2, if that was a thing, then it would be more of the same. But it was funny. I thought there were funny bits. I thought the things with King Shark were pretty funny. I thought I had quite a good bit of heart in it as well, which is always good. I liked the Harley Quinn bits. I thought they were really well done as well, because I think she's great as Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie. I didn't mind the fact that Starro was the big bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, it just felt really weird. I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it. Again, I'm going to watch it again. It comes on HBO Nordic here, which turns into HBO Max on the 20th of October here.
Nice.
So we get all the Max,
all the stuff. Nice.
Shit.
Jealous.
So apparently that's on it. So we get that, which is nice. So I'll watch it with my wife because she hasn't seen it yet, and then she really liked Guardians of the Galaxy. So it'll be interesting to see what she thinks. I mean, I love Guardians of the Galaxy as well, which is probably why, I don't know, maybe I hold that higher than this, but just, I don't know, I wasn't wowed by it. I think you're right. I think it was just fine. And everyone that I watched it with was like, oh man, that was like the best comic film I've ever seen. Like, was it?
Yeah.
Was it Civil War?
Was it Batman vs Superman? I watched that with my mum the other day, by the way, and she loved it. I was like,
did she know?
I was like,
I think that's called trying to make your children happy.
No. She was like, she got to the end of the Doomsday fight, and she was like, this is intense and really well shot. I was like, yes, it is.
Join us on the extras of the Consistently Okay podcast.
Like, Mum, you're coming on. But I think because I went into it and I was like, I'm not sold because I think it's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's not what I want because I've seen it twice, and I thought the second time round was weak. So I was like, give me something new. And it didn't. It didn't give me anything new. The two things that I think held it that gave it a sense that I was like, maybe there's something there, is I think Ratcatcher 2, her arc is awesome. I think it's really well done. The scene where she like basically saves people, I was like, that's awesome. That is very unique. And I think Rick Flag, his arc sort of pulled it.
Do you not like the John Cena Peacemaker?
He was all right, but it was just exactly what it was in the trailer. There was no surprise. Like the fact that he turned out to be the villain, kind of. I was like, well, that's not a shock. Like,
I just thought I thought John Cena was very good at acting as Peacemaker. I know it's like muscle man and stuff, but some of his, you got to admit, some of those, that bit with the tent and stuff with him and Idris Elba are trying to outdo each other. It was pretty good with the culmination at the end of it. It's like, these are all good guys, but they didn't just kill them. Like they chopped them up, set them on fire, all this stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. King Shark eating people. So I think I had this moments, but again, I need to see it again.
I think I just struggle with like, I think because I want superheroes to be like more serious and through that, like on a more epic scale, like Watchmen. When they do superhero films and it's like a gag a minute, I'm like, this isn't for me. Like Venom should have been one of the most interesting superhero films, and it's fucking awful.
Apart from that bit which you've already spoken about, when Eddie Brock is in the bathroom and he screams at the mirror, which is perhaps one of the best moments in cinema ever.
And the second one doesn't look much better, but it's just it.
No,
that seems to be the winning formula, though. It's like to do a gag a minute seems to be the thing that's like, this will make people love it because they'll come out and feel good. And that's just not what I want anymore, because I've seen it so many times in the MCU.
That's why Infinity War was so good, because you were so miserable at the end of it.
Exactly. You came out of Infinity War and you were like, something has affected me. Like,
and Loki did it well as well. Exactly. There was no winners in Loki, was there?
No.
Poor Loki got his heart broken.
Yeah. Like Empire Strikes Back. They did it as well. That is the thing that always hits me more than coming out of something and going like, that was a romp. That was exactly what I needed, because I just needed the distraction. Like
that's what they're saying about Spider-Man 2 game as well, isn't it? They said it's a lot darker, and they said that's their Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. I was like,
I actually read someone say like, this is, you're not going to feel good after playing this sequel, because obviously they're building towards the third one as well, but it's good. Like,
same like Last of Us as well. Like Last of Us is entirely memorable because you leave having felt something that wasn't just throwaway humor. It was like, this has in some way affected me.
I talked to my sister-in-law. She's just been playing The Last of Us 2.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, she finished it, and it was an emotional roller coaster. She actually listened to our Last of Us 2 podcast after it.
Good.
But it's crazy the effect that Last of Us game and those kind of things have on you, isn't it? Because that's what you want, isn't it? I remember leaving Infinity War and going to the pub with my wife and being like, it's going to take me a couple of days to get over. Like, I don't know what's going on. What's going to happen? Why did Spider-Man have to say that to Tony Stark? It's too emotional for me. Is Thanos okay? He took a pretty big wound to the shoulder. Hope he's all right. I like Thanos too. He's just trying to make the world a better place. Bless him.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of that, annoyed me in What If as well, when Ultron just cut through him. I was like, would it be that easy?
Bit of a gag though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the humor, isn't it? It's the that was funny.
Only Ultron's there. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Speaking of Last of Us, did you see that image that came out from the TV
Which
series?
Looks literally like the computer game. I
thought that was weird. I was like,
did I take that photo on my PlayStation, or is it the show? Because they have nailed it.
Yeah, I thought that. I think
they've obviously done that on purpose. I mean, obviously it's on purpose, but they've made it look as much as a shot from The Last of Us as possible, and it's be interesting. I was trying to read up a little bit to see what they would do, but as far as I can see, they're going to closely follow the first game.
Yep.
But then they're not going to follow the second game at all. So there won't be. Well, this is what they're saying now, isn't it? But I guess it depends on the reception. But like they won't follow like the Abby stuff or anything. So they'll be like a lot more Joel and Ellie. I guess when
Okay.
the first game would end, it would be more Joel and Ellie's journey from then onwards. But I mean, it's a good cast, isn't it? And it's HBO, and
Yeah, I think it's got
gonna be really good.
yeah, it's got the right creative team behind it. And I know they were saying that obviously like there's elements in the game that they couldn't pad out that they wanted to, and they're going to do it with the series, whether it's certain characters or whoever. I'm curious about that because there are definitely people in there that you could, give a bit more room to.
It's pretty good. I mean, with Neil Druckmann still on board and stuff, but I hope that this is successful enough that, well, I don't want it to be so successful that they're like, oh, we don't need to worry about the games anymore.
Yeah,
sounds crazy, but then it's kind of like the Game of Thrones effect, isn't it? With George R. R. Martin's like, hey, the TV shows are now like, I'll write that other book one day.
Yeah,
it's like, no, write it today, mate, because TV show didn't end very well. So so I hope this doesn't take over, but I really hope somewhere secretly they're already like nailed a script down for The Last of Us 3, because that is a series that needs a trilogy and has to be more.
Yeah, so, I think they'll do it. I think it'll probably just be years away, but I think they will do it.
Be awesome.
Yeah, super excited about that. Cool. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that we've missed.
No, I mean, there's things that I haven't seen. I haven't seen any of Why the Last Man yet, which I know you've seen a bit of. So I've got that to catch up on. But I'm getting a bit of mixed feelings about what I've kind of heard. But again, maybe you could say if it's worthy. I'm going to watch it anyway. But
first episode I thought was good. Second episode, a little bit dilly-dally. Just doesn't really go anywhere. Third episode, good. Okay. Haven't seen the fourth.
Potential.
The thing that I was saying, 'cause I'm watching it with my boyfriend and he hasn't read the comics. But in the comics, I don't remember it dealing with like, I could be wrong here because it's been years since I've read them. But I don't remember it being so like happening days after the event. I sort of just, because I remember a lot of it like the world still existing, like it's still running. It's not in a state of chaos. It's like there's groups of people who are existing and have existed for a little while. I could be wrong on that, but in my head, I just don't remember it being like after the event happens. I just remember it then being like there's still a form of society.
Yeah, I think you're right. As far as I remember, I haven't read the first volume in ages either.
The only reason I think that is just because obviously this is spoilers for anybody who hasn't read the book and is watching the series because they could do it. But when he goes to places like Israel, or I'm pretty sure he goes somewhere in Asia, and obviously goes to Australia, like he's able to get to those places on a boat.
Yep.
And there are still sections of society existing.
Yep.
And I don't remember there being as much chaos in the White House as there
no, I don't.
Theory.
I don't think there is. I mean, I haven't seen the TV show, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's. I assume from what you're saying, it is chaotic in the White House.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer, but
it's pretty. It's pretty calm in the comics, actually. If I remember right at the beginning, it's very unnerving and isolated at the beginning, and then it picks up as it goes on.
Yeah, I said to Charles that it's like it in the comic, it's almost like you go on this adventure with Yorick and you experience how the world is through his eyes.
Yep.
Sort of like you're going through different places as he's searching for Beth, and then you encounter people along the way, and that sort of is your way of experiencing a world that has had something catastrophic happen. The series at the moment feels more reactionary in that it's this thing has happened and how does the world like come to terms with that.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't remember that being in the book. Again, been ages since I read it, but in the book I just remember it being like, this is Yorick, this is the event, and this is his search for Beth. But it's good.
You're right. That is what like I'm going to try and watch it. I'm going to try and hopefully I can maybe watch a bit of it this weekend. I feel like we've got a backlog of stuff to watch at the moment because we've been so busy the last few weeks. But I'm going to check it out. It was I think that is probably all I have as well on my list. Like I said, I haven't had much chance to. I've got a huge stack of comics to read. So hopefully by the time we record our next episode, I'll have a few things to talk about there as well.
Jealous. I am so out of the loop with my comics.
There's a lot of good stuff. I've read the one thing comic I have read recently is the Batman 89 comic, which is the.
Oh yeah, Neil was talking about that.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool. A lot of Two-Face stuff going on. So I'll read the second issue and then we'll talk about it next time maybe.
Oh, I did see Candyman, by the way.
Oh.
I don't know if you're a Candyman fan, but
I do like Candyman. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen the new one.
So I hadn't seen the first for a long time, and I don't think I ever saw the sequel. I don't know if there's more than one.
I think there's 3. I think.
Okay. So I've only seen the first, and this one was interesting.
I heard good things.
Yeah, like it's not. I didn't get blown away by it. There are some shots in it which I thought were like visually really impressive. I think the cinematography is really nice. I think all the actors are really good in it. There was just like one thing about it that sort of twigged me a little bit, but it's worth a watch. Thought it was interesting, and if you like slasher films, then it's a pretty good slasher.
Nice. We're just about to start Midnight Mass. That's the thing we've about to start watching now because we've heard good things as well. So
yeah, we watched the first one last night.
Too good?
I'm intrigued. It's not like I loved Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, me too.
And then Haunting of Bly Manor I really struggled with. I couldn't click with it for whatever reason. It took me about 4 months to try and finish that thing. And even when I got to the end, I was like, glad it's done. So I'm not like sold on Midnight Mass yet in the way that I was on Hill House.
Okay.
But it's intriguing.
Cool. All right, we're going to start so again when we do our next one. Nice to we can both talk about it a little bit. Hopefully, cool. I think it's only a few episodes, isn't it? Is it 6 episodes, maybe?
Yeah, 6 or 8, I think.
Yeah, doable, Nick.
Yes,
I can do that in a whole month, probably.
Yeah. On it.
All right, so thank you everyone for listening. If you want to hear more from Nick and I, you can find us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at ConsistentlyPod, and on YouTube by simply searching for Consistently OK Podcast. We stream on all podcast services, with each episode coming out on Wednesdays. If you're an Apple Podcast subscriber, subscribe for extra content. All right, so our next episode is going to be our in-depth Batman series episode, and we are finally on the Christopher Nolan trilogy, and we're going to start with Batman Begins.
Yes.
Of course, because that's the first one.
On it.
Makes sense.
So
we can't start at the end, we'll start at the beginning.
Yeah. Ready. Love it.
So, yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through start to finish of the film and go, of course, in depth on it. So it's going to be really cool. So we will catch all of you then. Thanks everyone for listening, and thank you for joining us again after our long monthly break. And we'll catch up with you all soon.
See you soon. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks. Take care, Nick.
Bye.
Bye.